So, hi, thank you so much for being here. The purpose of this talk is to speak a little about how to get ahead in our surgical career with each other's help while reducing the stress on ourselves and each other. Of course, we are not going to do it all in one day, one go. But by talking about one of the key aspects in surgery, which is a relationship between a mentor and a mentee, we do hope that we are planting some seeds which we can work on in the future. Thank you, Ankit, Dr. Aparna, and Dr. Ganesh for being here. Before we start, I'd like you all to just scan this QR code. It's a short 1 minute survey. Can you please do this while we are talking? It'll take a minute or probably a little less than that. So, yeah, can we move on from here? With results of this survey later on. Uh, do you think I'll go to our other speakers now? Ankit, do you think we have been speaking a lot about mentor-mentee relationship in the last couple of years? Were we not talking about it earlier, or were we not aware of it? Because I remember as long as we were in medical colleges, we used to say there are teacher. Now, is this any different when we talk about a mentor-mentee relationship?
Hi, everyone. So I will totally agree with that the buzz around a mentor has come up recently and it has gripped our fraternity too. Back then, if you remember, you would say, I am looking for a teacher, not a mentor. Because teacher is someone who teaches you without asking anything in return, right? So it's an unconditional relationship where he or she is willing to impart the knowledge that they have. Whereas when we talk about a mentor, it's at a certain level of your professional efficiency where you want a holistic approach. You want someone to guide you, not just to have your surgical skills up there, but to become a better person. Because you alone as a surgeon cannot achieve everything in life. So it has to be holistic. And that's exactly where a person comes into the picture. Now we call as a mentor. So off late, yes, we are talking about mentors-mentee relationship a lot because it does have a lot of value. But how we perceive this value is how we maintain this relationship.
Right. Thank you, Ankit. So, when we begin our careers, we are right out of our residency. At that time, what we probably are looking for is a teacher. It has been a time honored, very old, centuries old apprentice teacher relationship that we are looking at. This is a relationship between two individuals where one learns by assisting, helping out another person who is supposed to be skillful in that trade or who is supposed to be an expert in their trade. The dynamics are very different there. And I believe, I may be wrong here, that a lot of the issues that we see currently around not having a good enough mentor for a lot of people or not being able to sustain a mentor-mentee relationship is because we are confusing an apprentice-teacher relationship with a mentor-mentee relationship. And we are a little confused here. Ma'am, do you have something to add here?
So honestly, I think, Pallavi, there is a lot of overlap in both. So I think when we talk about a mentor-mentee relationship as well, maybe we are looking a little bit beyond apprentice-teacher relationship. So it's not only about skill acquisition, it is also about developing as a person overall. So not only in the academic sense and the professional sense, but also in terms of confidence, in terms of everything else. So you look up to your mentor, and I think unlike an apprentice teacher relationship, you can actually choose your mentor. You could find your own mentor and then work with that person and take it forward from there.
So, Dr. Ganesh, when do you think, at what point in our relationships do we become predominantly in a mentor-mentee relationship? When is the point of transitioning from being an apprentice to a mentee? Or it is at this time that we also need to decide if we want to continue with the same teacher, or we need to find different mentors to guide us.
It's all about the comfort zone, what I feel. All about the comfort zone. So comfort zone need not be only surgically, it can be psychologically also. I mean, what I feel is with the mentor, you have the liberty to share most of the things other than like a teacher. So with mentor, you always feel that you can share a lot of your personal things in addition to your professional. So when, I mean, till when you get into the comfort zone, then I feel that he's a real mentor. I mean, who will totally nurture you in whatever you are doing. And at the same time, what I feel is the difference between a preacher and a teacher. Preacher is something who tells, he may not follow it. He is a preacher. Teacher is somebody who tells, but he does it. It's just a difference, like a boss and a leader. Leader shows you how to do it. Boss tells you how to do it. Or boss tells you to do it. Leader shows you how to do it.
It's like the old axiom of do as I say and not as I do is not applicable to a mentor-mentee relationship, because that's where you develop a little bit more of a relationship where you do what you respect about the other person.
That's actually personal, Pallavi. The transition, when you actually decide to get into a relationship, which is a mentor-mentee and not an apprentice-teacher, is very, very personal. I totally agree that you said it has to be about sharing. You share more, right? But this is what we were discussing during our breakfast, that it has to be two-way. Teacher, it's usually one way. But a mentee relationship is a two-way, right? It's not a one-way thing. So it has to come either way. So even the mentee is teaching the mentor. And of course, the mentor is guiding the mentee. Is that what we see usually?
So, yeah, in our surgical fraternity, which is usually a community of relatively high achievers, it's a relationship between two growing people, and the dynamics keep changing very quickly. I would say even every couple of months or every year. And we do start with the understanding that one is going to be an apprentice, the other is going to be a teacher. I think it's the lack of communication here about the changing expectations, and there is nothing wrong about changing expectations.
Absolutely.
But what do you say is lacking in communications these days? People are not talking enough, people are talking at mentees, or people are not listening to mentees. What's happening?
So I think the mentees are not talking enough, okay? Or probably they don't have the right environment to share. Because like I said, the transition from culturally, we have been told that Guru is the supreme, right? There's no one above your Guru. So if you want to carry those values forever, you may not be able to have the best out of this relationship. Like I said, you have to communicate about your expectations, and they're going to change because we live in a very dynamic world. The day I joined Dr. Ramana, my only ambition was to learn surgery and nothing more. It changed over the course of a year, where I decided that maybe what I had in me 2 years ago, I don't have it now. I have something better and bigger which I want to achieve. So the dynamics are always going to change. Are that communicated well with your mentor? That's something to discuss about, because that totally depends on your rapport with the mentor.
Right. Dr. Aparna, I would like you to speak a little bit about when is the point of transition? When do you think you have stayed on for too long? When do you think you have not stayed long enough? And when do you think it's the right point to transit, but you cannot find the right way? And what are the challenges that you get while transitioning?
lot of questions. Pallavi. Yeah. So, see, I think transition is different for every person. Like we discussed, growth is very, very personal. For everyone, growth means something different, right? For somebody, there are teams which have existed for years on years and they have continued to grow. And there are certain people who may want to achieve growth in a little different way. I think the transition is when you start feeling frustrated. If you feel that you are not able to achieve what you want to achieve, it could be any kind of achievement. It could be even getting more time for yourself, right? Or it could be career growth, or it could be having your own name or whatever. So if you feel that your goals are not matching with the current practice, you have to be open about it. You have to communicate, which is where I think the mentees sometimes kind of make a mistake and they don't speak up. And it is also up to the mentor to be open to that communication. And then both have to kind of sit and decide whether, a future can be obtained together, or this is where it needs to kind of diverge. So I think that is very important, and it's like any other relationship. We need to. Everybody has expectations in every relationship. So a mentor would have their expectations from the mentees. Mentees would have expectations from the mentors. If there is an expectation lag and expectations are not being fulfilled on either side, I think that's the point of transition.
We did speak a little about something called staying too long and being a little being a prey to what we may call as vicarious success, or what you said, reflected glory.
Of course.
So-
So staying too long again is very relative, you know. So
Yeah.
it's different for different people. So it's, I think as a mentee, you need to have it very clear in your mind about what is it that you want. Sometimes it could even be fear of moving out, or not knowing how to move out, not knowing how to be on your own, not having enough confidence. Or sometimes, on the other hand, it could be that the relationship is just perfect and there is enough balance, and you don't feel the need to move out, or you're getting enough growth as you would want it to. So I think staying too long is after the point of transition. If you're feeling frustrated and yet you choose to stay back, then I think you're staying too long, even if it's for a day.
So we do talk a lot about what to expect from a mentor. So a mentor is someone who's supposed to guide you, who's supposed to support you, who's supposed to help you make sense of things, who's supposed to nurture you, make you grow, give you ideas. What I have found while I was researching for this talk is all these articles and talk speak a lot about mentors and what they should do rather than what mentees should do. It's still a very one-way relationship, and that may be one of the reasons that it doesn't work. There is not enough reciprocity. So what are the areas where we can actually start to reciprocate as mentees in the relationship? Dr. Ganesh.
Yeah, I mean, when you start understanding a mentor, you know his expectations. I mean, you know his expectations, he knows his limitations. So acting according to the mentor to be a good mentee is very, very important. And then you spoke about the transition. One is the fight between the success and satisfaction. So, I mean, you get confused whether he wants to be satisfied or whether you want to be go behind success. The success is always measured by others. Satisfaction is by you. So this, if you have understood, then this long becomes a relative terminology. Because see, I stayed with Dr. M. Ramesh for 10 years and Dr. Srikanth for 3 years. Other thing is, there is more duty on the part of the mentee rather than a mentor. I mean, to share. Because it's a mentor is somebody who has to be respected forever. Forever. I mean, whatever you are now, 90% you have to owe it to the mentor. That's what my personal feeling are. I mean, the mentee owes a lot to the mentor rather than the mentor to the mentee. So it's like a mentor is somebody who sculpts you. Who sculpts you.
So we were talking about this while earlier, Dr. Aparna and I, and she said something that the onus of maintaining respect in the relationship. Would you like to say that?
So I completely agree with
Yeah.
Dr. Ganesh that the onus of maintaining the respectability is definitely on the mentee, because that is, it goes without saying, there is no question about it. And I think the mentor also carries that burden of selflessness, it is, it doesn't have to be like that, because again, we've already discussed this, Pallavi, but there is no relationship in this world which is selfless, not even the parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
So mentor-mentee, it has that excess baggage of that selflessness on the part of mentor to be able to mentor a mentee. I think that needs to be taken away. That's it's not required.
Yeah, and at one point of time, we'll have to start understanding each other's challenges and understand that other person probably has as many problems as we do, because as mentees, we do tend to burden our mentors with our expectations, our problems, and this has to find its balance at one place or the other. So I did come across these 4 things that are required in any relationship, in a mentor-mentee relationship, to make it work. Ankit, would you like to expand on this?
I'll be a little harsh on this one.
Uh-huh.
Everyone needs a mentor, but someone who wants to mentor people chooses, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone can become a mentor. You need to have it in you, or you want someone to look that in you. That's when you become a mentor. So you need to have those qualities. You need to understand that relationship well. Like you said, I disagree with that it is actually mentee's responsibility. No, it has to be both ways. It's a reciprocate. No more. It has to be equal. That's exactly when we'll have this cultural shift and we'll actually understand the value of this relationship. Currently, I feel we lack that. And we need to have a better understanding of this relationship.
When I was reading and listening to talks about it, there are 4 things that they say that can make this relationship work. One is, of course, the commitment to show up for each other consistently and in a meaningful way. Reciprocity, we have spoken about it. It has to come both ways at one point of time. Just by the act of letting you operate on their patients as it is in a surgical community, it's a big gift. It is a big gift. So it is at this point of time that, yes, we are contributing to the mentor's life by sharing the workload, but yeah, we are receiving by getting to operate on those patients and skill acquisition. But when it becomes a mentor-mentee relationship, you are probably moving out. You don't really have a lot to offer. It is at this time that you need to find the points of reciprocation where you can be useful to each other. Vulnerability, yes, what works in your life and what doesn't work in your life. No one can learn from a god. People have to feel less alone in the relationship. And mentors have to be a little, actually it has to be from both sides, but it's a little hard for mentors to be vulnerable and talk about their shortcomings or their insecurities, their fears. That also has to come into pictures, because unless we talk about it, we cannot overcome it. So somewhere vulnerability and openness comes along the same way.
Another thing is, mentor may have many mentees together, but the
Yeah.
mentees will have a single mentor at a given point of time.
Yeah.
So that's again, there'll be more responsibilities on the mentor side than a mentee side.
Yeah, so there is a concept that I would like to introduce here. You don't necessarily have to have only one mentor. You don't. So you can have one person mentoring you in one aspect of life and another person in a different aspect of life. So why not do that? So with that, I'd like to conclude our talk saying that first decide what we actually want to do. Let's connect with a clear sense of purpose. When we are forming a relationship, what are we looking for? Are we communicating enough? On the mentor side, are you just looking for someone to share your workload, or are you looking to mentor someone? And people should be very clear about these things. And before we finish, can we stop sharing this and share the desktop, please? We'll just see what the survey said to us once. Share the desktop, please.
Just adding one quick bit to what you already said. So we've seen the relationship of a mentor and a mentee. I think there is another important aspect which many years back Atul Gawande had written about, and that is for surgeons who are already established, and that is the role of a coach. Because just as most athletes, if Roger Federer can have a coach, I think a surgeon, particularly in the operating room environment, in two scenarios. One is where he feels that he's reached a plateau, and second is where he feels that he may be making some errors which are affecting his outcome. I think there is a role for a coach, a senior person whom he respects, to have him in the OT to guide him through certain challenges.
So yeah, just quickly going through what we did find. About 2/3 of the people have had a reliable mentor in their life. That's a very good trend to see here. And a good number of them are still working together. So what are we fretting about? Approximately half of those. Yeah. So apparently things are working and things are working well. People are communicating. So still approximately a little less than half of the people identify themselves as being employed by the other person, even after 5 years of being in that practice, which may be a source of dissatisfaction to some, not everyone, of course. And most of the people are happy with their skill acquisition. Most of the people are feeling valued in the relationship. And most of the people think that they are fairly compensated in terms of money. But everywhere, it's about 1/3 of the people who are thinking it's not good enough. So let's see what has worked well for people in their relationship. Open communications, expectations, exposure, trust, transparency, approachability, respect. These are the things that keep on coming again and again. These are the terms. If we had to make a word cloud, this would respect and transparency and trust would come a little on the top. And what has made them leave their mentor? Well, some didn't feel like they were progressing. Some didn't feel like they were being compensated enough. And that's all there is to it. Oh, there are more apparently. Yeah. So I think I would not count the completion of the course because that's a different relationship altogether. But we see most of the times it has been finding their own paths, progress, and compensation. Those are the words that have come in. So, Dr. Panda, do you have anything, any concluding remarks to make here?
I think I would just like to conclude saying that just like in any other relationship, I think even this relationship needs good communication and respect, which is both ways. So, plus, at every juncture, you need to evaluate whether expectations from both sides are being fulfilled. If yes, great. If not, then you need to find solutions for that.
So I think it all came down to a transparent communication if we can have. We cannot put the burden on someone to be entirely selfless. If they want to be well and good, if they don't want to be, you decide where your communication, where your expectations match and take it from there.